Who are some people out there whose game you respect, and then who's somebody you want to test your 1v1 skills against?
Well, I've played Chris Brown, and that was a good game. That was a good game. I was a pest though. He was getting frustrated. He was getting frustrated. He'll tell you about it. I would see Rome for sure. Rome is nice though.
Rome
Rome
is
is actually really
nice.
nice. Quavo. I mean, anybody could get it. Like to be real, anybody
There
could
we
get
go.
it. I'm just
He's
trying. I'm
back.
trying to be.
He's back.
I'm trying to be nice, but like anybody could get it.
All right, Fumble family, today's guest is an actor, singer, and songwriter. You've seen him in The Chi, Power, and Coming to America. He's also got a little game on the court. Please welcome the one and only Rotimi to the Fumble. What's up, cousin?
I'm great. I'm great. How you guys doing?
Good money,
Good.
man. Hey, it's good to see your face. Good to see
You
your
as well.
face, man. It's
You as well.
I've known you for over 20 years now, which is crazy to think. You know, way before the tattoos and all the muscles, you was always built strong.
Yes,
But
sir.
it's beautiful to see your ascension. So, just for contextual purposes, right? I
Yeah.
coached at our alma mater. You were on the varsity team. I coached the JV team,
Mhm.
and then we had our AAU thing as well. For those out there who are not familiar with Rotimi's basketball game, how you hoop, because Ro was a killer on the court. I gotta give credit where it's due. How would you describe your game, and how would you describe it in 2025? Because I don't know how it's evolved.
Oh Jesus, that's two different opposites. That
I
okay?
know, I know.
So during high school, I was probably more like a J Kid. Um, it was more of J
Okay,
Kid Halliburton type of player.
okay.
But now I'm just old butterscotch. You know, the jumper got a little better. The jumper got a little better, but you know the speed kind of slowed down. But now it was a good time, man. I was varsity captain for junior and senior year, and it was good because it was the first time during that time. It was the first time like our school was really really good. Maybe the 2 years before me, and our years, but it was good. It was good.
Samaria, he was cold. I'm not gonna lie, man. He had this clutch gene, this clutch factor. And so anytime there was a moment of like high pressure, he was the coolest cat on the court always, yo. Like it
That's
was
love.
yeah,
That's
That's
cute. I
love.
it
need
was
to go look
fly.
at some of the highlights. And
I
you
think he's too
mentioned,
old to have highlights.
Yeah, this is before. This is before. Just take my word for it.
and
Just
think
take my
about how
word
old
for
you are, Rodney, because you just said you was coaching, when he was
Relax.
playing. So,
Relax. You
okay.
can't tell the difference though.
Uh,
Hey, but he ages backwards though, so it's not even fair. You know? It's really not fair. He's 17 still, G. You know.
That is kind of crazy. But Rotimi, you mentioned Halliburton. What was it like for you to see him go down in Game 7 like that?
Oh man, it's sad. You know, you root for players like that where you know the whole league kind of seemed like there was a narrative that he was overrated. So when you're Game 7, this is what you dream of as a child, and you're starting the game off OD nice, and then you go down that way, and then I can only imagine like you got to be so spiritually strong because when you 30, 40 years from now, you're like, yo, what if I never got hurt? You know, and that type of mentality, you know, I definitely would need a sports therapist, I would think, you know, because that's a once in a lifetime opportunity to be Game 7 when you're not supposed to be there in the first place. So you just got to pray for him. Super talented guy, and I think that would have been the perfect end to a great year when somebody says you're overrated and you win the championship. So
I feel like your spirit in this season is different. I'm just sensing it through technology, right? Obviously,
uh,
you're married now. You have a son, so you feel a little bit
And
different.
daughter.
But
And daughter.
and
yeah,
excuse me, and daughter. But back in the day,
yeah.
Rotimi was aggressive, and Rotimi would let a person know or he was gonna come at their neck, right? So peace.
So he was Dre in real life. He was Dre in real life.
Yo, he would
Nah,
he wasn't Dre. He wasn't Dre,
nah, it wasn't
but
great.
he had a thing, and he know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So we had Rome Flynn on the podcast last week, and I had Rome tell me people that he feels like he could take one on one in a game of basketball, present day, right? Because in the industry, you have hoop. You lived in Chicago, obviously from Jersey, spent time in LA, so you done cross paths with all the hoopers in the industry. Who are some people out there whose game you respect, and then who's somebody you want to test your 1v1 skills against?
well, I've played Chris Brown, and that was a good game. That was a good game. I was a pest though. He was getting frustrated. He was getting frustrated. He'll tell you about it. Um, I would see Rome for sure. Rome is nice though.
Rome
Rome
is
is actually really
nice.
nice. Like he's nice. You know what
Nice.
I mean? So I definitely see Rome. Quavo. I mean, anybody could get it. Like, to be real, anybody
There
could
we
get
go.
it. I'm just
He's
trying. I'm
back.
trying to
He
be.
back.
I'm trying to be nice, but like anybody could get it for real. For real, whoever's talking, it can happen.
Okay, well, who are your favorite sports teams? You live in Orlando. Are you a Magic
Yeah.
fan now, or
Hell no. Hell
No.
no. My dog, don't put that on my dog like that. That's
Nah, nah,
crazy.
nah, 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 nah. That's
I
crazy.
mean,
That's crazy. That is
Hell
crazy.
no.
That
okay,
is
well, who are
crazy.
your teams?
I'm always a Nets fan because of where I come from, you know. But it's as I've gotten into the industry, I've had more friends, so like it goes by my dog go crazy. Like I'm really close to Dame, so like I rock with the Bucks. I'm really close to Giannis. I rock with the Bucks. I'm really close. So it's like it varies. But if
Okay.
they all play in the Nets, then they kind of they take a back seat. But I love
Okay,
Hold,
playoff
can we see
Bucks.
hold
a
on.
Dame? Can we see a Dame feature in the
Ooh,
future?
we actually spoke about that like 3 days ago. So that's wild. But yes, that's on the way. That's definitely on the way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yo,
yeah,
the diaspora is taking over the NBA as well. You know, you obviously you
yes,
mentioned Giannis, Pascal Siakam just had a phenomenal run to the finals.
yeah,
A few players, Maluak from Duke got
yeah.
drafted this year as well in the lottery. What is there to be said right now about players coming from the diaspora and making an imprint on the NBA? Because we've always known about the athleticism and the physical prowess, but now they're putting the game
Yeah.
with it as well.
Yo, you know what, bro? Like we come from the era of like when we was in high school or even college at times, like if you were African playing basketball, it was like that
It was
wasn't cool.
nasty. It was
It
nasty
was
work. It
nasty.
was.
It was nasty work. You know what I'm saying? So
Why?
like, oh
They
yeah,
were
it was
not.
bad.
They were no. It was bad. They weren't
It
good.
was bad. It was not good. It
Oh,
was
okay.
mad athletic, but just all over the place. So like, so the fact that it's grown, the fact that it's grown to what it is so beautiful because I mean with social media the world is so small now, and so
Mm.
like they're seeing everything and the dream team and the redeem team, all of these things has played a factor to how basketball is viewed. And then also the Luca, the Dirk Nowitzki, so like and the Kembe Mutombos and all of these people, like so all of that is just ushered in where a place where most people who get into sports are more athletic than most here too, and so it's beautiful that it is combining because once Africa starts picking up to a lot of different things, it's dangerous for everything else. You know what I mean? So as we're seeing, so
Rotimi, let's kind of get into like your acting career. I want to know of these three characters, who was your favorite to play?
yeah.
Darius, Dre, or Charles?
Oh, see this. Can I say all three for different reasons?
Yeah.
Is that possible? Because it's unfair, right? Because anyone knows I played Darius on a show called Boss, and that was my first audition. So I never had acted before. So it was like I walked in, got the role, and it was a week later it was on TV. So that's my favorite for the fact that I just I jumped into a career that one had no idea I was good at, but then also it changed my life. Because I was a broke college kid. So at that time, it was like, man, this is my first six figures, anything. So it made me have hope that there's a hope for me in this field. Dre, because Dre was iconic, you know what I mean? And so for me, that kind of just opened the doors of the floodgates to the industry for me. But then also it was like a learning my college of acting because I was around such great actors like for 6 years and everyone was an underdog. Everybody had a story, everybody had a chip. No one was a star when we first started Power. If you go back, I mean, people knew Naturi from her music. Omari was always I know him from somewhere, but it was no one was like lit, and so we grew together. So just being able to go from hunger to mega success with people that was beautiful. And then I'd say Charles now because it's actually the first time that I'm able to smile on camera. Like for 10 years I've always been angry, you know what I'm saying? I've always been the guy who just starting trouble, and so for me it was like I can play something that's a little bit more charming, more charismatic, and again it's another hit show that I just thank God because I've hit lightning twice, and so I just really thank God for it.
I want to ask you about that because the
Yeah,
characters that you've played are very in contrast and contradiction to who you are and what your inner
yeah,
wiring is. But
yeah,
there's a part of these characters that are so iconic and that are so big that the fans want you to be that person even when you off screen.
Yes.
yeah.
So how did you manage that? I know you went through your denim and leather vest chapter and all the things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But seriously
yeah.
though, man, how did you manage, living in your truth and reality versus the expectation of what people thought they needed from you based on the characters you played?
So it took me a while to get used to hearing people call me from my like that wasn't my name. So it'd be like, "Yo, Dre, what up? Yo, Darius, what up?" So that would be like, dude, that ain't me, you know. But then I had a great conversation with Jamie Foxx about it, and he was just like, dude, like, you got to embrace it because that's their way of showing love, right? So it took a while to be like to deal with, yo, I can't stand you, man. And then even girls I would try to holler at, but like, you cute, but I hate you. And it's like, I'm a great man, you know what I'm saying? And so that took years to kind of get used to. But then he was like, the advice that lived with me, it was like they love you for what you're doing, but then give them a reason to know your name.
Mm,
So it was beast mode, what you're doing, and then say, damn, he's amazing, yo. Like, who is this guy? And when that started happening with the music and other things and butterscotch, all these different things I was giving people, it changed the narrative, you know. And so it took a while, but now all of it is love. You know, Power has been a couple years now, so it's been musical, and now the Rotimi name is what it is. But it took a while, man, and it took a lot of humility to not get upset a lot, but at the same time, um, yeah, it was all love, all love.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that because I know Michael Rainey, he will never mean anything other than Tariq. But
Yeah,
let's get into music now, Rotimi. Like you have some new projects coming out, but you took a
yeah,
little bit of hiatus. Why? Let's talk about the
yeah.
hiatus and then your decision to jump back in.
Well, for me, this business can be mentally taxing, it can be very, very demonic, and so sometimes you got to just step away to just refill your cup, spiritually. I found Christ, even more than I had before, so I kind of just had to see, like, do I really still love it, or maybe take a step back and just really spend time with my kids, because it's the first time that I really have time. I'm always gone, 4 days out, 3 days out the week, and they're in such a developmental stage that it's important that I spend as much time with them in this time. So it was all those factors, and then God, and I'm so ambitious as a person that sometimes I can't even get out my own way. So God was like, "Listen, I gotta sit you down." I was supposed to go on tour this summer. I was supposed to do a 30-city tour. Everything was booked. Tickets were selling, and literally, like, a vocal bruising happened that I just woke up one day and I was just spitting blood, and I didn't know what happened. It was no yelling, no nothing. It was just a freak accident that the doctor said that, like, we have to figure this out, and take about a month or two off. And so at that point I realized there's so many more important things than the industry as well. So it's the most calm I've been. The energy that you're feeling, bro, is just, finding self. I've been on the go for 13 years. Like, I've never really got to really know Ro, and so it was always um, the surface level of getting to know myself, and now I was able to just truly in depth know who Rotimi is, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Now going into the second half of the year, working on a new album, working on the Shy, working on a few movies that we're going to be filming, TV show ideas, developments that's happening. So it's going to be an incredible next part of the year for me, and my family's, they know daddy now, like it
yeah.
was a long, which is most important, which was the longest, longest that they've had me. For one time, it's been 4 months that I haven't gone anywhere, and so um it's just been a beautiful thing.
Fire, man. Yeah, that's the most important work. The
Yeah,
music, the acting, anything is cool, and it paves the way to pay for the lifestyle lives we want to have for our
yeah.
children. But, my son is 17 now. We starting to look at colleges. Like, he graduates high school next year, dog. And I'm just like,
Crazy, bro. That's
what is
crazy.
happening? Insane,
Yeah,
insane. All right. So, Ro, you
yeah,
started in the Garden State I'm talking about, of course, New Jersey. How has being from New Jersey prepared you for the world and the industry you exist in?
Wow, that's a great question, bro. You know, musically, I had a little cheat code because musically for me, um, like we went to the same high school and middle school and elementary school as Lauren Hill. So for me, I had the same mentor who saw me early, you know, Miss Wright. Shout out to Miss Wright, the beautiful Miss
Mama
Wright.
right, Mama right.
Yeah, you know, who saw the same type of drive and talent and cultivated it since I was a baby, you know, and so I had the cheat code from that aspect and from a sports aspect, competitive aspect, because she's one of the greatest high school coaches of all time as well. So it was a competitive nature that was instilled early. Also, because of where we're from, we grew up with so many different types of people, so many different races, so many different cultures, countries. So you kind of figured out who you were a bit early, you know, which was, you know, and the high school we went to was a performing arts high school, basically.
Yeah.
So it was able to just be around like-minded people for me. And then just Jersey, like, you know, we're kind of like the underdog to New York. So you always have that chip on your shoulder to kind of just be try to be better than everybody. And yeah, it was very dope. Like if you wanted to go the straight and narrow way and be a Ford honor roll student, you could. If you wanted to go gang life, you could. If you wanted to be the best musician, you could. So it laid out everything from me, and I think, you know, it was a super blessing.
And then lastly, it's important for young black men especially to have this conversation. How has marriage and fatherhood changed you? And for the young boys
Wow.
out there who do not understand the value of life partnership, what's something that you would tell them about it?
I mean, it's biblical, bro. He who finds a good woman finds a good thing, bro. You know, and so he who finds a wife. So I've been my wife has changed the way I view life completely, from it holding a mirror to me. Like, you can't have have longevity without being more kind, more empathetic, more communicative, um, more selfless. So it makes you sharpen yourself daily, knowing that I have a son who's extremely smart and pays attention to everything. They say the best way to raise a boy is to be good to their mother, you know. And so when you have that, it's an unbelievable responsibility. So, and then the blessings just start breaking out. Like, you just start receiving money from things you don't even know, just great people around. It's just a win if you do it right, bro. It don't take away from anything, because after a while, like, if you've seen the world and seen as much as I've seen, nothing else can really make it exciting, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so to answer that question.
I literally just got married on Saturday, so that was really nice.
Yeah, she's on her honeymoon
Yeah.
right now talking to us.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
love.
She
Thank
a
you,
hard worker.
man.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's
I was
lit.
really excited for this interview. Thank you
Oh, that's
for
super
coming
dope.
on with
Thank you.
us.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the good brother Rotimi, the evolved, the new version in 2025. But man, I've known for a long time. It's a beautiful thing to see you, man.
Thank you,
I
bro.
wish you continued ascension and success, all the things, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, bro. Vice versa, bro.
Yeah,
You always
yeah.
find a lit job, bro. Jesus.